Good afternoon and welcome to the Brown Bag Business Chat. I'm your host, Heather Steele, and today I'm going to have Randy Skinner talking with me about why it's important to have a traffic plan for your website, what that means, why you need to think about it before you actually build your website, and some ideas for what can go in that traffic plan.
Awesome.
So Randy, do you want to kick things off here and talk a little bit about what is a traffic plan when we're talking about websites?
Yeah, so basically a traffic plan from my perspective would be any sort of strategy that you would put in place to bring your potential customers into your website. So I think it's really important to keep in mind this isn't just one thing. It's not, oh yeah, I'm going to put a website up and everybody's going to come. It's you build it and they will come does not apply in the world of traffic online. So really what it is taking your website and taking all the different channels, social media, blogging, SEO, remarketing, email marketing, any sort of strategy that is going to take people from wherever they are and bring them to your website. That's kind of encompassing the various aspects of what will become your traffic plan. So, there's no one plan that's going to work for everyone. It's really about customizing something that's the right fit for you, whether it be your marketing dollars. Most small to medium-sized businesses we work with have limited marketing dollars. So, we're not working with tens of thousands of dollars each week or each month. So really trying to figure out how to maximize those dollars.
Yeah, and so I think that that's a really good point about making the most out of your budget, because most of the people who we work with don't have unlimited funds. They really need to make sure that what they're putting in is going to get a high return.
Yeah.
So thinking about this, a lot of times we see clients approach a website and they know that they need a design and they know they need like some words on the page, and that's kind of where it ends. It seems like they see the website as something they just need to mark off of their to-do list and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people don't think about is the fact that you have to actually get people to your website for it to be able to do its job. And so going back to some things that we've talked about in the recent weeks, and that we're always harping on, knowing who your audience is the best place to start with your traffic plan. Because if you don't know who your audience is, then you don't know where to meet them in the middle and then be able to bring them back to your website. So we're going to talk today about some different tactics for driving traffic to your website. And I think one of the main tactics that we're seeing right now is that people are using social media. And that's a great place to find your potential clients, find your audience, and then bring them back to your website. But it all begins with knowing where they're hanging out. So Randy, do you want to talk a little bit more about how your audience affects that social media portion of the traffic plan?
Sure, definitely. I think a component of knowing your audience is really figuring out what generation they fit in. That's kind of one variable. Whether it be you're a retailer that's trying to target teenagers, or you're trying to target moms or millennials, or baby boomers, where people fall in that generational gap is really where they're kind of identify where they're spending their time. I think we can learn a lot when we look at it in that way. And sometimes you have clients that are going to be in multiple, we have clients that are going after baby boomers and millennials, and that's cool. We can figure out a way to talk to both of those. But most of the time, majority of your audience is going to fall into kind of one bucket. Majority, maybe like 30%, 40% is going to be in this category. And so I think that's kind of where we start. We start there. And so if we're talking specifically about social media, just to kind of simplify it, I think that you can utilize things like Snapchat and Instagram for the younger. And then, if we're talking about like the millennials, the moms, things like that, we're looking at more of like a Facebook. And then for any of the professionals across the board, I think LinkedIn is a really great place to start. And The bottom line is the way that I've found it to be most successful, and I think our clients have too, is that it's really about putting out relevant content. I think every time we're doing anything, it goes back to content. So putting stuff out there, discussion questions, putting out blog posts, utilizing your website to create content that's relevant to your target audience, sharing it across these mediums like Facebook and other social networks, and driving them back into your website. So I'll give you one example. We will grab a blog, and one of my favorite things to do is to create a short link. And what you can do there is utilize some tool like Bitly. It's free. Go create an account just like you would for Facebook, and you're able to create a short link that you can share across all the social media networks. And it's kind of better than it being, abccompany.com/here's my blog. You can shorten it down to where it's just bit.ly/10 reasons or whatever your blog topic's about. So I think that's kind of a fun way to utilize some of the free tools that are out there to drive traffic back to your website.
Yeah, and expanding a little bit on Bitly, I like that as an example, because if you actually create an account where you can log in to Bitly, not only can you keep track of all the short URLs that you've created, but you can actually see how many people have clicked on those and get a little bit of extra analytics. So you could create different Bitly URLs for different campaigns, or you could create different ones for different networks, so you can really see, where are you getting the most interaction. The other thing that's great about it, if you're using Twitter or any other kind of area where you're limited on character count, then that helps you to reduce the length of your URL and be able to still use links in your posts without taking away from what you can actually say in the content area. And I think that that's something that a lot of times we overlook. I see people who use these really long URLs, and that may be helpful if your domain name is really, really relevant, and that's going to help make the audience choose to go back to your website. But otherwise, it may just be taking up wasted space and taking away from the readable area of the content. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely about finding the right balance, and I think it kind of goes back to testing different things. If you're putting content out there and you're driving people into your website, over time, you're going to be able to see what's been the most successful. And so I think that's where utilizing the short links and utilizing the different content really comes into play.
Yeah, and I want to come back and talk more about the analytics part of this here in a minute. But I know we have a lot of ground to cover and only 30 minutes to do it in. So I want to keep us pressing forward. So outside of the organic posts that you're doing on social media, so like posting on your Facebook page, posting on LinkedIn, you can take some of your marketing dollars and put that towards promoted content as well, which helps you get in front of a new audience, helps you expand past the people that you're already connected with, and show your content to other people so that you can, again, try to bring them back to your website. And I think the main thing to keep in mind there is, first of all, relevancy. So I know, Randy, you're really good at building audiences and trying to keep that relevancy very high so that you have a higher likelihood of the people coming back and engaging with your content. And so how do you use like audience personas and information about the brand to really build that out and try to be targeting the right kind of people with those paid ads?
Yeah, I think that you have two different ways that you can work this. One way is that, let's say we know what our target audience is. We've identified that persona. We can then work backwards and create a blog post or some type of content that would interest them, and then creating a paid ad targeting that group. I think the other way that sometimes is fun to do it, depending upon how much flexibility you have, is to go in and kind of play around with, let's just say, Facebook, and see what groups are available to you, and then create content targeted towards those groups. So I think that the more relevant that you can be, if you're going to create something that speaks directly to realtors or directly to coffee lovers, 3 reasons why marketing is great for coffee lovers, kind of play around with it and get silly and really try and speak to the different groups that are at your fingertips from either way. Whether it's that you already have the content or you're creating the content. So there's two different ways to go about anything. What would you add to that?
Well, I just wanted to say that I love that idea of looking at the audiences and then kind of building your content around that. So that's a really great way to take what you already know about the people that you want to be selling to and then reverse engineering it into content, which typically coming up with content ideas is one of the hardest things to do. So you're kind of solving your own problem there, you know, looking at who are they, what might they be interested in, or what kind of questions would they have that are relevant to me. Yeah. Gives you a slew of content ideas to choose from. So I think that's a really smart idea. So going back to, you know, we're trying to drive traffic to the website. Social media is a lot of times the first thing that people think of because it's very relevant and current. And most people think of it as free and easy, which that's a whole nother topic for another day. But moving on beyond that, there's some other ways that we can drive traffic to the website. So which should we talk about next? Should we talk about SEO?
Sure. Yeah, SEO.
Yeah, so SEO is search engine optimization. So this is that magic that makes your website appear in Google, which a lot of times people think is something that's really easy and they can just ask us to do it. And then we go push some magic buttons and call Google up and let them know, and poof, the website's on the first page. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And this is a part of your traffic plan that really needs to be well thought out and executed even before the website's built. If you're following along in our series about building the high revenue generating website or restructuring your website to be better in 2016, we haven't actually gotten to the finishing the website part of the series yet. And so we put the traffic plan in place before that for a reason, because if you plan to use SEO to drive traffic to your website, it's something you should really work in ahead of finishing that site for several reasons. First of all, the person that's going to be actually doing the SEO work for you, so doing the keyword research, optimizing your content, optimizing the site, they need to have their input early on. They need to be able to come in and share the plan with the people designing and developing your website so that everybody's on the same page and everybody has a very clear understanding of needs early on. Don't wait until you're done to say, oh, by the way, web developer, I'm going to do some SEO work and hopefully that'll be okay. It might be too late and you may end up incurring some additional costs. The other reason that we try to establish that early on is that there are some things that we can do from a development standpoint, the way that the site is actually coded to speak better to the search engines. Do you have anything to add to that, Randy?
Yeah, I think you did you explained it a really great way. I mean, when we're working with our clients, when we build our websites, all the websites have kind of like the SEO basics. That's what I'll call them from my front of the house verbiage over here. And then we partner with our social media partner, Pam, who's amazing. And we work with them to make sure that we do everything on our end when we're designing to fit their specifications. So, I mean, I think that you said it beautifully. Yeah.
And not every development firm is going to be the same. So we do build, we bake that into our process. Just because we work with an SEO firm so often that it's just better for us to put that in place and on every single site regardless. But not every website firm is going to be the same way. So it is something that needs to be established up front. Let the SEO people come in, set the expectations of what the developer needs to do to make the site ready for them to take over and do their work. And we do have a whole other video with Pam Marketing about SEO and how it works and some things that you can do on your own and what a good SEO firm should do. So I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, but just to explain a little bit of how SEO works. It's really the science and art of optimizing your site, putting things together in the right way, so that you communicate to Google and the other search engines what it is that you do. Ideally, you're using the same words, the same phrases on your site often enough and in the correct places so that Google or whichever search engine is indexing has a good idea of what each page of your website is about. And then when someone searches for that keyword or that phrase, hopefully Google's making the match and showing you on one of those first few pages, hopefully the first page, because I don't think anybody even goes to the second page anymore to look at search results, so that you can show up. There's a lot more that goes into it. There's off-page, there's citation building, and there's lots of other things. But the nitty-gritty comes down to your site needs to communicate using the same phrases and keywords that people use to search for, and it needs to be built in a way that it can communicate those things properly to the search engines. The rest I'll leave up to the SEO experts to explain.
Yeah, sounds good.
That was a mouthful. Hopefully Pam and her team aren't watching this and cringing. So there's some other ways that we can drive traffic to the website. We've got social media, we've got SEO. We can also use what we call search engine marketing. So search engine optimization is organic. It's what we're not paying the search engines to display. And then there's search engine marketing. So this is where we're actually paying Google or Yahoo or Bing or whichever network to display our sites in search results for certain keywords. And most people probably know, but the difference between those when you actually do a Google search is the stuff that's in the middle of the page that typically has a white background is organic. That's the things that are naturally ranked for those keywords. The stuff that's at the very top and along the side, which typically have a like a light blue or some kind of color shading behind them, depending on the search engine you're using, those are the paid results. So we can pay to play when it comes to search engines. We can say, these are the keywords that I want to show up for, and we can go out and bid on those. That's something that I, again, suggest you work with a professional on, but it is an option. It is something you can do, especially in the short term, where SEO is a long game and you're really going to need to work your way up the ranks. Search engine marketing is a way that you can come in right off the bat and be displaying for the keywords that you want to. So that's another way to drive traffic to your website.
Yeah, I think, which I think is definitely one of the things just to add in the mix, you consider it as part of your traffic plan. Another one that I want to throw out there that for those of us that are trying to build a traffic plan that don't have the budget, the same budget that someone that's doing search engine optimization or the search engine marketing, email marketing is a great tool that you can utilize on a low budget. So there's tools out there like MailChimp, Constant Content, that you're able to create a free profile up to 1,000 contacts. There's different plans that you can get, but minimal cost, and create a content plan and send out to your email list. And that can be utilized to drive traffic back to your website. And that's little to no cost to you. So I think having having all the different variables, things that are going to cost you a little bit, like the SEO, and then things that are kind of low cost, like the email marketing if you're handling it yourself, are a great blend and a great start for that traffic plan.
That's a really good point too. And I think a lot of times email marketing overwhelms people because they think like, I have no one on my list. They might have 5, 10 people that have ever signed up for their list, or they may have no one. And it can be really overwhelming to think, how am I going to build up enough reputation? How am I going to get people to sign up for my email list if I can't even get people to my site? That's a pretty overwhelming thing to think about. But using all of these other tactics, especially social media, that's another way that you can drive people to your website. Use really great content to bring them in and make them understand that you're sharing things that are valuable, you're sharing things that are entertaining or that are informative to them, and then ask them to join your mailing list. Because then you're going to see the cyclical things start to happen. You're going to use some sort of method to get people to your website, capture their email address, send them email marketing in the future. You're going to keep, redistributing your content to them, and then you'll bring them back to your website. And then you may share something with them that's so great that they want to share it with their friends. And then hopefully that brings those people into your website. And a portion of those people will sign up to be on your email list. And it keeps kind of going around and around and growing. And before you know it, you could actually have a very sizable list.
Yeah.
We started doing some of this pretty recently. We've added some new forms to our website just to see what we could do with growing our list and see how well this content marketing thing actually works. And we took one of our lists from about 100 members to 400 in the matter of a few months. And it was kind of a surprise when we looked at the numbers, because like, we haven't even really been trying to do that. We're just doing the same blogging and the same stuff we've been doing all along, which made it easier to opt into our list. And now we've got 4 times the number of people that we can continue to send our content to, bring them back to the website, and then see them sharing that content, bringing more people in. And it's something that has just really worked well for us and our clients. And that if we can just get over that hump of it seeming really intimidating and kind of like an impossible goal, then it actually becomes very easy and something that's easy to work into your workflow and take advantage of.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I would just say, you know what? All of this can become overwhelming. Just start somewhere. Start somewhere. Pick something and just kind of start throwing out ideas, jotting down different things that you think might be a good fit for your traffic plan, whether it's social media, SEO, remarketing, which we didn't really talk about, email marketing. There's just so many things. If you have an idea, jot it down and just kind of start to see if there's a way to make it fit. And I would just say we're always here. We love to brainstorm. Give us a call, shoot us an email through our contact form, and we'd love to go through any ideas that y'all have. And there's tons of stuff we didn't cover, but I think we're kind of getting down to our time, right?
We are, but I'm going to risk going over a little bit just to bring up.
All right. Okay.
So then we have a group of people in our personal audience that we've built profiles for, who they are brand new to this whole internet thing. I know it's been around for a long time, but not everyone has been using it in their business or personally their whole lives, or even recently. There's still a lot of people that this is a new concept for.
Oh, yeah.
And for them, it's really even more overwhelming when we talk about building a website and we ask them, how do you plan to get traffic to that site? And they just really don't know, because they're not spending any time online at all. They don't do social media. They don't do email marketing. They don't really do any of those things. They're still always offline. So I think sometimes we overlook the opportunity to get people to our website by meeting them at events, by being able to hand them our business card, by being able to take the content that we're creating for our website and share it offline. You know, who says you can't show up to a networking event with, instead of a business card, a little 3x5 flyer about a really great piece of content that you have on your website with the URL printed on it. You know, if you want to learn how to do X for your business, go to this URL and read my post about it, and you'll learn how to do it. There's no reason that everything has to happen online to send people to your website. You can also use those in-person interactions and do some print pieces, do some things that are a little bit more creative to help send people to your website, and past just the homepage. You know, don't focus on just sending people to your homepage. Get them to the piece of content that's going to connect with them, that's going to help them do something in their business or in their life, and going to help set you up as the expert in your industry that they can come to when they're ready to make some sort of purchase, or when they're ready to move forward with what it is that you do for a service.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add to that. I mean, anything that you're putting out, whether it's a brochure or your business card or a flyer or anything, we're in a day and age that it should have your website on it. That's where everybody goes. I mean, 90% of people are going to look for the website over the phone number first, because they're going to go check you out. It's like the first impression. So everything you put out should have that website on it. I mean, it's easy, and it's small, tiny. It can fit in the corner. You'll be fine. For it.
Very good. Well, I think we covered, you know, some good top points here. Hopefully we drove home the fact that you should have a traffic plan. You cannot build a website and just expect people to come to it just because you built it. It's not going to happen. This is not Field of Dreams. They will not come just because you built it. You have to have a plan for getting people to that site, or else the site is never going to do all the other things that we've been teaching you about over the past few weeks. Social media, SEO, so setting your website up to speak directly to the search engines about what you do. Search engine marketing, paying to play in the search engine space. And then just good old-fashioned networking, taking advantage of the time that you spend face-to-face with people and getting them back to your website that way are some of our and email marketing. 5 tactics, not 4. So hopefully this has been informative. This is probably our worst wrap-up ever. It's an interesting topic for us because we want to go so far into each point that we could talk for hours on each tactic. But the goal of this is to really just plant some seeds in your head and make it very clear that you absolutely must have a plan to get people to your website, because it's not going to happen by magic. So we'll be back next week talking about web design and how to approach design in a way that is both productive and represents your brand and hopefully helps people actually convert and become leads or new customers. So we will see you, not next Thursday, next Wednesday, because we won't be here on Christmas Eve, to talk about web design. Thanks for joining.